Okay.
Phil, did you leave us?
Yeah, he came back just now.
Okay.
All right, we're live. So, once again, we're doing our author chat, and we are blessed today. We have at least half of the authors who've written this excellent book. I'm going to keep the title a secret because I want the person that created the title, I want to know why she chose that title. But this is a rare for me. I've been a part of books since 2003. And in that time, I believe I only interviewed one book that had an anthology of Black male authors. One book. And so for me, this is a rare opportunity to sit down with Black men to understand and find out almost, I think that book was in 2011. So we're talking about 10 years later. And that book was a fictional book. This is a nonfiction book and a book of male voices. I'm very interested in seeing the development and change within the book or publishing industry and why and what led these men to come together, especially in light of what we are just going through in the last 2 weeks here in America. So I want to welcome Julia Shaw, Coach J, Mike J, Jason Murray, Phil Andrews, and Bernard MacArthur. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Julia, I was told earlier today by Brother Jason Murray that you came up with the title. Can you tell us the title of the book or the project and what led you to entitle the book this title?
Well, my company is Collaborative Experience, and my partner is Tony Coleman Brown. And prior to Our Stories, Our Voices, Black Men Speak Their Truth, we published 3 books entitled Delayed But Not Denied. And each of them had different subtitles, but it was book 1, book 2, and book 3. And the majority of the contributors were women. And so, just with so much going on, there is such a need to hear stories from our Black men. And that was the catalyst behind us wanting to put together a book where all of the co-authors were men. And, Tony and I just brainstormed and we came up with the name Our Stories, Our Voices. Because the media portrays Black men in such a negative light, but there's everyday heroes, and we wanted to profile our everyday heroes make a difference in the community.
That's excellent. All right, I'm going to go down the list. Jason Murray, what led you to say yes to this project?
So I've known Julia and Tony for a number of years, and I had recently launched my first book, and as a result of that, they knew that I had already been an author, and they said that, well, we're working on a collaborative effort with a number of like-minded professionals, doctors, lawyers, clergy, nonprofit leaders, and I said, well, I feel like I can certainly contribute to the collaborative effort, being an entrepreneur, being a financial services entrepreneur in particular, and that as we as Black men have stories to share, we can collectively, it can be even more impactful with us being a collective unit of brothers who really have overcome adversity and made a difference in our respective lives and are leading successful lives. Our communities needed to know that. So that was the reason why I said yes to the project, and especially having a prior affiliation with both Tony and Julia.
Excellent. Thank you. Coach Mike J., what led you to be part of the project?
I was fortunate to have a friend that was a part of the women's co-author project called Delayed But Not Denied 3. And at that book release signing party, I was loving the energy, the synergy in the room. And when I heard Julia say our next project will be a male co-authored project, it's just something inside of me just kind of leaped at the opportunity. I just happened during that time to have been experiencing about 3 significant things in my life, and I had no idea how that trauma would come out in ink and actually be healing for me. And so, in a nutshell, what prompted me to be a part of it, I guess, was just to share my voice and step out on faith, do something new. Grown up in church doing music a large part of my life and been in education 12 years, but being a book author was not something on my resume. So I also wanted to expand my territory, so to speak.
Well, that's what's up. Appreciate that. Bernard MacArthur, I keep wanting to call you Dr. Bernard. I don't know why.
Bernard is fine. I guess in the beginning, I was a little hesitant because I was in the middle of another project that I was working on. But, I've been friends with Julia for an extended period of time, and I've seen the work that she's done over the years and how she was able to connect people. And I've spent 30 some years in corporate, and I started to see a shift in corporate America. And with that shift that had been taking place, I started seeing a lot of people being displaced. I started seeing a lot of young people, graduated from undergrad and continuing on with their education, and then coming out and finding out that those opportunities weren't there. So I thought it would be a nice avenue to be able to start that dialogue so that we can make them more aware and also help them be in a position to be able to compete on a global scale.
That's excellent. Brother Phil.
Oh, yes. I was excited when I heard about the project. Much of my life has been around working with Black men. In my 20s, I became a member of the 100 Black Men, and I used to have Tuskegee Airmen whispering in my ear that we all have a little Tuskegee in us. And also another mentor, he was a brigadier general, which is one of the highest appointments in the military in the country, and it needs a presidential nomination. He used to say to us, heavy is the load that wears the crown. So when I found out it was an opportunity to tell our stories, because so many Black men are doing phenomenal things, but we don't get a chance to tell our stories, and I jumped at the opportunity.
Excellent. And welcome, Brother Malcolm Boyd. Can you tell us why you were inspired to be part of the project?
I'm kind of like in a strange position right now. I'm on the set of Succession television show.
Okay,
and
gotcha.
shooting in the background. I have to be quiet. I can speak in a couple of minutes as soon as they cut.
Okay, we'll come back to you. That's okay. We appreciate your service. Love Succession, so I appreciate your service. So one of the things about being an author I've always admired is the ability to pull a story out and to be able to decide how this is going to impact the reader. Julia, was there any tips or tricks that you gave the brothers to help them pull their stories out of themselves?
What we usually do with the co-author is we encourage them to write. And once they write their story, Tony or I will review it and make recommendations. Sometimes a person can tell a story and they have 3 different stories in a short piece, because all of the pieces are not that long. They're like 3,500 words. So you may have 3 different subjects mixed in. So we tell you, select one that resonates with you most and expand on that story. We also tell co-authors that, make them comfortable with the process, because the book will be edited several times before it is published. So you don't have to write in order. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time out. Just flow with it. I think that's the most important thing.
And that's excellent advice. So we'll take okay, Malcolm is able to speak. Okay, cool. Welcome back, brother Boyd.
Thanks a lot, bro.
Please give us.
I apologize, everybody. I'm
No, it's
just
okay.
back
It's
from
okay.
work on this television show, and they're rolling right now. And in between during take, you have to be quiet. So what was the question?
Inspired you to be a part of the
Um,
project. I can't hear you, brother.
Hello?
I think you cover your mic. There you go. Okay.
Am I there?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I'm sorry. For Julia, I have several books in publication already, but everything I've written in the past has been fiction. And for somebody that was willing to lend me their ear, so to speak, and let me share some of my experiences, meant a lot to me. You know, I've been a long way in life. I've been through a lot, good and bad, and to be able to share that, and hopefully someone else can hear my words and benefit from it or relate to it and understand that um, there's light at the end of the tunnel, or there's success after, and after failure, um, means a lot. It is
Excellent.
important.
Thank you. So we'll take Bernard. How did you pick what you wanted to write about and make a part of the project? How did you decide which story, which was going to make the most impact? I'm sorry, Bernard. Hold on a second. Let me mute you. Go ahead, brother.
Okay, thank you. I was at a conference. It was a Black Enterprise conference some years back. And you had some of the best entrepreneurs, business people across the country at this conference. And at the time, the main topic for that conference, they talked about the Black community, and they talked about the net worth within our community falling to the median net wealth of zero, meaning that the overwhelming majority of the people in our community were going to be making less than minimum wages, and they're going to have so much debt, behind them. And so I was listening for answers and saying, okay, this is the issue. This is the problem. Okay, well, what are we going to do to reverse that trend? And so I said, okay, we have to do something. We have to start talking about it. And at that point, I said, you know what? I have a pretty good background and understanding of the market, because I also do a lot of international photojournalism, where I've crossed 5 different continents just studying the cultures. And I said, okay, this gives me an opportunity to kind of share some of the ideas and things that are being done in other countries to kind of reverse that trend. So that was the impetus of my chapter that I wrote called Wake Up. Wake up. Be aware of what's going on around you in the market and how it's going to affect you, and some of the things that you need to do in order to position yourself to make yourself more marketable. And so out of that, I really started to go around, in addition to writing the story and talking about the market changes, from the first industrial revolution to what's called now the fourth industrial revolution, in which the artificial intelligence is displacing, so many different people. What do we need to do? And that's what I did. I started creating these workshops and giving these workshops and kind of teaching the young entrepreneurs, or, teaching people how to go through what's called this mindset transformation, where you begin to see the world differently and identify where those opportunities are.
That's excellent, and that's definitely something that's really necessary and needed. I think solution-based conversations is something the Black community has tried to have in the past. I don't know that we've, at least in my generation, I'll be 50 this July, so been a part of those late night chop it ups, and also anybody that lived in New York, I used to hang out at Pan Pan back in the day, and on Saturday mornings and listen to Dr. Ben or Dr. Clark or Dr. James Smalls, Leonard Jeffries, whoever stopped by the diner.
That's it.
But that said, I think that inspiration that affected you, that is something I feel like is happening collectively around
Absolutely.
the world now. And so solutions conversations really needed. Coach Mike J, how did you pick what you were going to add to the
Great question. When my brain started turning, there were actually some topics that I didn't want to talk about. And the more I thought about it, I said, you know what, that would be so inauthentic to write from some kind of superficial standpoint. So the very things that I didn't want to talk about, a divorce, a relationship that died, a church home that was, in so many words, sort of like a central component of everything that I am today. Church home went through a rough transition, so to speak. I was watching my dad struggle with his health challenges, and I thought I would succeed him. Some others within the congregation sort of felt similarly. And as the divorce thing was really final and, out and about, some of the senior leadership did not think that would be a good look. And so during that period of my life, I felt like three things had died. The aspiration to kind of continue my dad's legacy, at least in the capacity of pastor, because obviously I can still carry that legacy on. But at the time, my perspective was sort of narrowed in continuing his legacy in one dimension. So when that failed and was no longer an option, the marriage died, a relationship that I actually did not want to die, and had aspirations to see it live. I got to a toxic, dark place where I was unsure of who I was looking at in the mirror. And my biggest fear was, who am I becoming? I don't know this guy. I know the old guy. And I want to make sure that I don't do anything that puts me in a position that's not going to leave the legacy I want to be left. So when I thought about those things that I didn't want to talk about, I said, you know what, this is probably what I need to get out of my system. And I titled my chapter, Talk About It. And so that's how I came to the realization of what I wanted to write about. The very thing that I thought I should hide, I decided to expose it, and it ended up helping me heal. And I've heard a lot of feedback it's helping other people heal as well.
That's excellent. That's something that writing, I think a lot of writers don't do anymore, is utilize writing as therapy. Jason, how did you figure out what you wanted to write about and make an impact?
Certainly. So as I mentioned, I had previously written my first book a year before. It was focused on entrepreneurship, teaching our children how to become entrepreneurs. And as I transitioned from corporate America to becoming an entrepreneur, I had developed a lot of leadership skills, mentorship skills, and I'm a big advocate on paving the way for the next generation. In addition, I'm a big proponent of how can we narrow the wealth gap. So based on my, leadership skills development that I was able to develop by volunteering my service within my fraternity, within professional organizations, one being the National Sales Network, the other one, the Association of African American Financial Advisors, I said, well, if I can talk about my experience and how I was able to develop those skills as a corporate business development executive and then transitioning to becoming an entrepreneur, that others could follow a similar path. All right. Now, the focus of my chapter was success principles. And through success principles, my goal was to continue sharing how in our community, the African American community, that we can succeed in a corporate environment, we can succeed raising our families, and we can also succeed as becoming entrepreneurs. And if we can do that, then we can continue moving towards narrowing the wealth gap, but more importantly, paving the way for the next generation. So I've raised 6 children, 4 sons and 2 daughters. And now those children are now becoming entrepreneurs and developing their brands. And as a financial service entrepreneur, I've trained a number of individuals how to get licensed in the business, how to grow their respective businesses in the financial service industry. So the book contents correlated to my full experience, and it also correlated to what I see as how we can put a solution in place that can readily affect our community as a whole.
Thank you, Dad. Thank you, appreciate you. Phil, how did you pick what you were going to write about and make an impact?
Well, many years ago, Luther Gatlin, former president of the 100 Black Men, and the president of Budget and Counseling Services, I had a conversation with him, and he said, boy, what would it be like to tell a Black man to tell his story, what it is to be Black in America? So I never really forgot about that, because the Black man goes through a tremendous amount of things in America. And then I jumped on this opportunity to have this chapter, The Making of a Champion. Here's someone that come from Marcy Housing Development, didn't have no recollection of his mother, lost my mother at 5 years old, and only knew her through a photo. So, and to become the president of the 100 Black Men, 2-term president and a small business champion for 14 counties in downstate, it just speaks to our possibilities of Black men. And I knew that the story needed to be told. And I was just elated when I had a chance to tell our story, because we need to continue to tell our story in America.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is a question for all of you. A lot of times when I speak to authors, they will say, I have a story in me, and they're happy with how they were able to, the writing process got that out of them, right? But one of the things keeps coming up is that now they had a taste, they're ready for more. So how many of you that haven't written before, or haven't been published before, I should say, now feel like you have a second book, or you have more chapters in you? Okay, that's what's up. That bodes well for us in publishing. I think that what I've been observing because of Clubhouse, the app, that there are definitely a lot more authors today, now in 2021, than it was in 2010, 2008, 9, that are writing nonfiction, and they're writing from their heart. Back in the day, when my aunt's bookstore started, Sisters Uptown, we had a lot of fiction, almost next to no nonfiction from Black authors, and almost no children's books. And so what I'm seeing today, though, is it's a lot of children's books authors, and there's a lot of nonfiction. So that's excellent. What tip did you guys, from your experience, and of course, Julia also, what tip would you give someone who is trying to decide what they should write about, or maybe even on the fence about writing and publishing? So we'll start with Malcolm, if you're available. Okay, let me hold on a second. Let me get your mic on. Sorry, Malcolm. Go ahead. If you're available.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I had a couple of books on your what's your aunt's store?
Yeah, Jennifer.
I did a couple of reads up there. Okay.
Jennifer Wilson.
Okay,
Jennifer Wilson, and on 156 in Amsterdam.
Yeah, I've been
Uptown
there a few
Bookstore.
times. I've done a couple of reads.
We did a book signing there before.
I know you, Julia. You just don't remember me. I look more handsome today than I did back then.
I'm sorry. What was the question again?
Question was, what tip would you give someone who may be on the fence and may not fully be like ready to write? They see this video and they see, well, Malcolm said, writers write. The more you write, the better you get. And sorry. I put my mask on. I'm sorry. I'm on set. Right.
I put my mask on. The more you write, the better you get. What's inside of you will come out of you if you pick up the pen and start writing, or if you tap away on that keyboard. There's something in you that's going to come out. Writing's not for everybody. I found that out. Writing's not for everybody. But if it's in you, if there's a subject, this is what I like to do personally. When I'm like stuck or don't know what to write or what I want to write, I will sit down and journal about my day, what happened yesterday, the day before. And as I go along, for fiction, I'll just take my name out and just keep writing, and it turns into a story on its own. And of course, when we're dealing with our own personal experiences, we can all write about ourselves because I'm just like anybody else. Everybody loves to talk about themselves. Everybody loves to talk about the experiences they've had, the things they've done. The unique thing about writing is it's in print. I can sit here and lie to you all day about what I've done, and tomorrow, I swear to God, I didn't do that. I don't know what you're talking about. I dunked on Michael Jordan. Who, me? I didn't say that. But if I put it down in print, it has to have some type of backbone to it. Because you could turn around and say, well, here it is, right here in print, brother. You said this garbage. Now all of a sudden you act like you don't know what this is. So that inspires a person to come from the heart, be legitimate, and unless you're some type of vindictive monster, you're not going to write anything that you don't want somebody to read and gain from. I want people to read my words, even with my fiction. If nothing else, is entertainment. They enjoy it. But I do try to put a little bit of, fable, like, okay, if I do that, that's going to happen to me, But, that's the way I approach it. And that's the way I would advise anybody. But the key thing is write until it hurts.
Gotcha.
Then after that, you'll start enjoying
it. I appreciate that. Coach Mike.
I would ask that writer who's on the fence to temporarily shift their focus from themselves and all of their fears and actually think about their children's children's children and ask them, how does this project preserve my legacy? I think sometimes, even if it's a weight loss goal, no matter what goal, if we shift the attention off of ourselves and ask, how would my accomplishment impact the legacy that I want to leave? It's like our brain goes to the right place to make the decision. And so that's what I would say to that individual.
I like that a lot. Phil.
Well, one of the things I like to say is I was fortunate in high school when I attended Brooklyn Technical High School. One of my teachers told me that I had an uncanny ability to write and to read everything from A to Z, and I would be a great writer. So, so I think the more we read, we pick up things subconsciously. So read great works, read great writers. And it showed me that I had ability at a young age. And I always knew that from high school that the teacher recognized that I had the ability to write.
That's what's up. Jason.
I would say that individuals should really identify, what they're passionate about, number one. Also, what problem could they solve or what impact can they make by either coming up with a story or coming up with a scenario that can benefit others. As we start businesses, right, the ones who develop the solutions can become more profitable with their business. Similar to writing, understand, what may be a problem, right? Through my publication, I can maybe solve a major problem, or I can make an impact on the lives of others. So I know from my perspective, that's the goals that I had. My first book, how could I show people, how to be a good father? How can you be a good entrepreneur? What are those skill sets that you need for that? Then in the second book, the chapter again was, how can we pave the way for the next generation? Our young people need leadership. They need examples. So if I can be an example, then I can help save other people in our community. So focus on your passion, develop a solution to a problem that can make an impact in our community.
Excellent. Brother Bernard?
Yes. If I was going to encourage someone to write, I would tell that individual that everyone has a story. Look around your environment. There's something that you can share with someone else that may inspire that individual. You were talking about some of the Egyptologists earlier on, Dr. Ben, Dr. Jeffries, etc. 35 years ago, I studied with Dr. Ben up in Harlem, Cumberland Baptist Church. Took a class. A week ago, I released the book, African Legacy Uplifted, Ancient Egypt. I was inspired by someone in my environment, not knowing that that would come out, 35 years later. So I would tell them, I would say, search around. Don't let anyone discourage you. And throughout life, continue to keep the journal that Brother Malcolm Lloyd was talking about. Continue to write that down, and you'll find that story will come to life.
That's what's up. Excuse me, Julia. Are there any tips that you would give a writer who comes to you and says, I want to be part of your next book, but I'm afraid?
Can I address the question that everyone else answered first, and then I'll answer that?
Sure.
Really quickly, I have been passionate about Black authors, about books, for over 40 years. And I used to do PR and marketing for Black books and authors. And as the industry changed and the world evolved, I've worked with different events, Black Expo, Kwanzaa Expo, the National Black Writers Conference. And so the passion for us telling our stories began with when my daughter was 6 months old, and I had to buy a book for an 8-year-old because I thought there were no Black books out there. And I had the honor of meeting John Steptoe, and it's just been a love affair ever since. It's important that we look into books and we see our images. It's important that we tell our stories and share our legacies. And this collaboration is about coming together from telling our story standpoint, and also a collaborative effort economically in us pooling our resources and creating a book. And now we're able to sell that book to generate more resources.
Excellent.
And the second question is,
yes, ma'am.
Are working on our next book. Well, we have two ideas that we want to work with. One is Our Stories, Our Voices, Black People Speak Their Truth. Or, we're going to change the subtitles a little bit, but it would be a collaboration of men and women. And then the powerful book is Our Stories, Our Voices, Black Couples. Their stories, because we need to hear more positive stories about successful relationships. What is the secret that you were married to somebody for 30 years times 365 and y'all still smiling at each other? There's strategies that you developed to make that relationship grow and flourish, and younger people or people that haven't been that successful in relationships need to hear those stories. So, we just want to, we did the sisters, we did the brothers. Now we just want to mix everybody together.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I love that. And I'll throw in a third one for you. And I'll help you make it happen if you're interested. I think that part of that, going to that space of saying we covered everything. One other space that we typically don't hear from is children entrepreneurs. What makes a child entrepreneur successful? And so I'm working with several families who have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds. And one of the things, unfortunately, that has come up is that while they'll get press and somebody will say, oh, my God, this kid was on Shark Tank, they got a deal or what have you, it's great. It dies down for children or young people. It dies down within, they say, a week. Then everything is dead. And so for someone like me, I'm checking for, my favorite Black entrepreneur. I think about them next week, week after next. And when the parents said it to me, I was like, you're right. Like, I know these kids, and I saw them on BET. I saw them they did a group of Black young people did a BET Get Out the Vote. They were all under the age of 13. There was a powerful campaign they did, but she was right. Like, I hadn't seen them since, I hadn't thought about them since I saw that campaign. So I'm like, ugh. So I think that within our community, we have these great legacies. We just haven't necessarily, thought of our young people that are doing doing the damn thing, so to speak, and thought of them as a daily support. We think of them when someone posts something on Facebook, or we see something on television, or we hear a great story. we're not thinking of what the daily, all of us that are entrepreneurs, that daily struggle of being an entrepreneur. We're not really thinking of our kids that way. So I think a book covering would be really interesting and be very powerful.
I agree. I agree. We have a vendor number and a contract number with the Board of Ed, and so that would be something that is awesome in the school system. I'd love to work with you on it.
Okay, cool beans.
I'd like to speak
Bill?
to that a second.
Yes.
One of the things that we did at the Chamber of Commerce recently, I am president of Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce, but we thought to open up an African American small business foundation. And I had the idea around, we need to look at industries like the book industry. Can we do more economically in the book industry? Could a foundation spur economic development? The book industry is more than just writing a book. It's also speakers getting paid millions of dollars. So we want to look at this as an industry that, if we give attention to it, more could be done in this industry. So we're going to be looking at how we can, even this partnership, what we're doing here, this is just a tip of the iceberg. We can do more. This book is a beautiful book. I'm not being biased because I'm in it. I think the book is wonderful. It's great stories, and we need to do more. We need to have more book signings. We need to get it out there more. And I'm committed. I'm even trying to get back into the 100 Black Men, where I could bring these men to the 100 Black Men and do a signing. So I think we need to look at the industry and the opportunity, because books certainly sell a lot of books in this country.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, go ahead, Brother Jason.
Martin, I was just going to add that, after I wrote my second book, my daughter actually has been now training my grandchildren, her two children, as well as my other grandchildren, her nieces and nephews, how to write books, as well as she's developing a workshop to teach other young authors. So she now has a publishing company. So I'll be happy to connect you with her. As a matter of fact, her and I were on a podcast this week, this past Monday, talking about the legacy, because you mentioned legacy. So again, how can we pass down the information? How can we show the next generation that they can too become authors? They can too become entrepreneurs at a young and early age, by having that mindset early on while they're still fresh and thinking of initiatives. Right? As we get older, unfortunately, we kind of get away from taking initiatives because we end up going to get a corporate job, or we go work for an organization, and then the golden handcuffs are put on us, right? And we know what happens then. So we can get more creative and continue to encourage our young people. So that's a great idea, and I'd be happy to connect you with my daughter and her publishing company.
Absolutely. Our initiative is going to be named Support Them 365.
Beautiful.
So it's really around providing support for them 365 days of the year, not just when they pop up and they come up with a product. Lastly, I wanted to find this out. This is our kind of our author stump since MySpace days question and Blog Talk radio days. What advice will each one of you give your 12-year-old self who ran into them today? So we'll start with Brother Phil, since I know he's got 17 jobs. So he'll tell his 12-year-old self, hey, take this job, because that was the first one you should really take, and then the second one.
Well, one of the things I like to say, my mentor always taught me a short pencil is better than a long memory. We do extraordinary things through our lives, and we have extraordinary experiences, but we sometimes don't document and know the value of worth with some of the things that we encountered in life. So everybody has, like we said earlier, everybody has a story. And also too, you can, be all you can be, give your best, you'll find your way. I believe that if you give 100%, give the world the best, and the world will give the best back to you. Just keep on pursuing excellence in whatever you're doing.
That's so true. Brother Jason.
Yeah, I would say something very similar to what Phil just made mention, that each of us have our God-given talent. At the same time, are we focusing on being excellent with that talent or average with that talent. So I would tell that 12-year-old self to really focus on what you're good at and really excel to the point where you become a professional. You know, you have professional athletes who make a ton of money. You have professional entrepreneurs who are able to build wealth. You have professional writers who are able to become very knowledgeable in writing. Whatever you're good at, whatever your talent is, just maximize it and take it to the maximum level.
That's excellent advice. Brother Bernard.
Basically, I would do what other cultures and some of the people do as far as developing their children, at a younger age. You'll find that sometimes we have a tendency of kind of missing out because we finally figure out what we want to do later on in life. And some of us, we wait until we're in college, while others, they start at such a younger age and start gaining that experience, by volunteering, by doing internship, just surrounding yourself, immersing yourself in what you'd like to do in the future. And being that at that age, you don't have those same psychological chains that may hold you back as an adult. As a child, there are infinite possibilities on how you see the world. So take advantage of that opportunity. Surround yourself with like-minded people and start building, from that point.
Thank you, Brother Coach Mike.
Yeah, I love what the guys are saying. I would say play and swim in your strength. Like Jason was saying, so many times families think about security and safety when they are instructing their children. And actually, that's probably one of the worst things we can do, because there's like an instinct inside of us that's divine. So I would encourage my 12-year-old self to literally explore and have a ball with all the things that you love, and don't focus on the growing edges. There's a cool book called Now Discover Your Strengths, and the author is basically saying that you should play towards your strengths and that we should not focus as much on our growing edges. All that does is lower our self-esteem, and we don't end up thriving at the things we were born to do. So that would be my message.
Excellent. I'm not sure if we're going to get Brother Malcolm, but we're going to try. No? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Brother Malcolm.
Yeah, I would.
What would you tell your 12-year-old self? Okay, good, you got it.
I would tell my 12-year-old self to not be scared of anything, people's opinions, groups, crowds. If you're curious, step up and learn how to learn. Be proud of what you know, be proud of what you're learning, and be proud of yourself. And don't get so caught up, especially at 12, you're so caught up in what other friends and cliques and all that madness thinks, because they're so limiting. That's what I would tell myself.
That's excellent advice. Appreciate that. So, Miss Julia.
I would tell my 12-year-old self to never stop dreaming and to believe in the power of your dreams, because you can make them come true. I'm making dreams that I had of being an artist at 12 come true now that I'm older. So just believe in your dreams and believe in yourself.
Excellent. That's excellent advice. So how do I've been displaying the link at the bottom of the screen. Is that the best way that you want folks to go buy the book at Barnes & Noble's website? Or do you guys, what's the best way for folks to go buy the book?
Okay, we have a website called OurStoriesOurVoices.com.
OurStoryOurVoices.com. Okay.
.com, and you can go to that site and purchase the book, and we will mail it out to you. OurStoriesOurVoices.com.
All right. I want everybody to give their social media and if they have individual websites. So we'll start with Brother Jason.
Yeah, my social media handles across the board is Jason Murray CEO. Jason Murray CEO on all my handles on social media.
Brother Bernard.
My social media handles are My email address is info@3dinspirations.net, or you can go to my website, www.3dinspirations.net.
Brother Malcolm,
Okay. You can catch me on
I put the mask on. I don't want you to get fired. Not
Oh
live
no,
on.
no, I won't get fired. You believe that? I won't get fired. That's not gonna happen. I lost my concentration. My
Social media and
social
website.
media is Author Malcolm Boyd on Facebook. Another Facebook page is Malcolm Boyd. MSB59 on Instagram, and One Dot Way In, No Way Out on Instagram. Also, my website is 3-legelephant.com. And the other website is manwalker.com with 2 M's, MANNWALKER.com. That's the film I'm making, the books I'm selling. You can get everything at 3legelephant.com, and that's it.
Excellent. Thank you. And Jason? Oh, hold on a second.
I think Phil is next.
Oh, Phil's not that. My bad.
Yeah.
Phil, go ahead.
Okay, you can reach me at Long Island African American Chamber at www.liaacc.org, and you can simply Google New York State largest African American Chamber of Commerce.
Good plug. Like that. Brother Jason, did you go already?
Yes.
Okay. And then Julia.
Okay, first, I would like to say thank you for hosting us and having us on your platform. And secondly, it's an honor to be in a room with all of you powerful, awesome Black brothers. It's very, like that. That's why the smile is on my face. It's just so, it touches my heart. Our company is Collaborative Experience, and it's collaborativeexperience.com. Collaborative Experience across the board on all social media.
I just want to make a comment, and I just wanted to very quickly just to commend Julia Shaw and Tony Brown. Julia has been in this space for over 30 some odd years, connecting people. She's a phenomenal woman. I want to say thank you to the host and also to Julia Shaw. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Coach Mike.
Yes, Facebook 3D Value, Instagram at MJ Ads 3D Value.
That was quick, easy, and simple. I love it. Well, yeah, this has been an excellent conversation. I'm looking forward to having it. Hopefully, we can get together another time for Father's Day, and to really talk about, fatherhood and how telling your stories, help affect. I know what Brother Jason is working with his daughter, and I'm sure all of you have either father stories or uncle stories or cousin stories, or, all the stories. So definitely want to do this again really soon to help promote the book, but also, I think we don't see enough images like this in on media. It's very rare. And like I said, you can hold the book up, put the book up to the camera. Yes. Right. I think this is a very rare opportunity. Like I said, the last time it happened was 10, 11 years ago. So, and that was fiction. So that's what's up.
Can I shout out the other co-authors that aren't here? We have Brother Kevin Lamont Bird. We have Brother Richard Celestin, Reverend Dr. Phil Craig, Lee Scott Coleman, Sean D. Farnham, Dr. Samuel Gilmore, Dr. Terry Grant, and Milton Shelton. And all of these brothers have powerful, powerful stories that will definitely impact you. And the book is a great gift for Father's Day or Mother's Day too, because you can give it to the woman that you love.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And so, want to encourage each one of you to continue to do the work you're doing. However, we can help on our platform / just, making sure that you're connected with Ma'at's bookstore, making sure, you have any questions about anything in publishing, definitely reach out. And if you're all on Clubhouse, you know, I have about 7 clubs on Clubhouse. So if you need to, I think Jason, you talked about legacy, or I talked about it in, I don't know. But however it happened, one of our clubs is called Write a Legacy, and that has about 8,000 members in it right now. And we're growing about 600 to 700 a week. And it's really interesting about legacy because I definitely did not think of publishing as I was talking to my auntie. We barely made rent, and rent was cheap back then. And we were just talking about how, you know, people did not want to go to 56 Amsterdam. They only wanted to go to Human. And so it's funny, you know, we outlasted Human, and we outlasted Human primarily because we just didn't have, you know, the hype. We had to make it with strictly selling books. That was it. We sold books, and that was it. But thinking about that historically and just understanding, you know, the legacy now, it looks like we were geniuses. But back then, it was not fun closing that bookstore every night, and it was like $2 in the register, or $25 in the register. And so I'm just saying that to say that I think that being able to have these conversations about publishing and the legacy, and being able to turn over, you know, to the next generation, Generation Z or Generation A, is going to be a really interesting ride over 3 to 5 years of how we transition these kids and these young adults into our positions and our places. So I'm excited for that. And hopefully in 5 years, we can look back on this first conversation and be like, you know, Bernard has 14 people he helped get 14 books. Jason has 35 because he got 6 kids. And Coach Mike is now having 14 virtual book tours. And of course, Phil he's migrated over to somewhere in Africa, and he's opened up the African United Black Chamber of Commerce with 14 different nations, you know, and each of those nations have authors. So, but I'm just saying it to say that I really did not understand at 50 now. I understand, but I wish at 20 or 12 or 14 that this thing that we do in 10 years can go so many places, and to be able to sit at the 11th year and look back and say, "Ooh, you know, we're able to do X, Y, and Z." No one in my community told me to think. They said, you know, what's your 5-year plan and all that stuff for a job interview, but no one told me to think 10 years out and where we're going to be at in 10 years, or where I'm going to be at, or what I want my legacy to be. So I'm really happy to have met all of you, and know there's other people out there doing this work, and we have a chance to unite, do some interesting things together, do things separately, support each one of us, and collectively, you know, and also independently. So I'm here for that. So I thank all of you for being here today.
And thank you.
Welcome.
And thank
You're
you.
welcome, you're welcome.
We really appreciate you inviting us to the show.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.